Hello everyone, welcome to episode 4. So on episode 4 we're going to take another exercise and we're going to build up our knowledge on exercises. Now one thing about learning this software, you always want to be looking for exercises, and even if you have to draw something on your own table or on that you find in the house, etc., but keep drawing. This is a skill that you build up over time, so you have to keep drawing. What we call that is mileage. It's the repetitive use of the same skills or the same button clicks over and over again that allows you to build up confidence in using the software. On the courses that I teach, the first number of exercises are basic exercises, just using those skills that we have seen throughout the course over and over and over. This starts to get some people maybe that little bit bored, they want to move on to the next piece, but in all fairness, it does allow you to know where certain buttons is, certain features, and how to handle certain tasks without thinking about those tasks. When I'm using SOLIDWORKS on a commercial basis, I want to be able to think on what I'm drawing. I do not want to have to think on what button I need to press. Now, in all fairness, when you're starting out in the software and just getting used to the software, yes, you have to sit there and think, where was that button? How does that feature work? But once you get the mileage, as we can call it, or over a large amount of exercises, you don't think like that anymore. You think, well, how would I make this product? Or would this product look better if it was changed this way or the other way? So when we're trying to learn SOLIDWORKS, we tend to learn the basics of the software. And then we tend to use those basics over and over and over until we can get them set in our head. Now, on exercise 34 here, I was going to start this. This is one of my own exercises I give people. I have put it up there. It's exercise 34. Just take a screen grab or something if you want to do the exercise yourself. If not, follow along with me on the video. First thing I'm looking at, I have all my information. I know it's a unit system of millimeters. It's decimal places of 2. The part origin is arbitrary, so it's up to yourself where you want to put the origin or the beginning point. The material is 1020 steel. I've also have the density in here. All holds true unless otherwise shown. And then the exercise is just to model up the actual model. The sketch must be defined. And I keep saying about sketch must be defined. And that just shows people that you're a professional user when everything is defined and limited and constrained. I have a few relations that we can use in there as well. And we're looking at the command of sketch on face. One of the questions that is commonly asked is, where do I start or how do I start off? Well, I want my finished model in the isometric position to look exactly like this. To cause that to happen, I am looking at my front, looking this direction. So that would be if I started drawing on my front plane. I'm looking at my top, looking down the way. That's if I started drawing on my top plane. Or if I drew on my right plane, I'm looking in here. Now, which plane or which view would give us the most information to start off our actual object? Well, for me, that is the right hand side. If I look in the right, I can get this image. What's so great about starting on the right? I could start in the top as well, but for some reason the right is calling me to start. If I produce this shape, I can extend it out 52 millimeters and I can get my overall shape of the whole object. And this is the kind of thinking that we want at this stage. Wait there, if I look at an object, what is the moves? What is my plan on creating this object? Do I have extra moves that I need to put in? Can I take moves out, as in moves as in creating features or sketches? Do I have certain parameters that I have to stick with? Otherwise, is there things on my design that I cannot change, say if it's bolting to something else? So there is a whole heap of rules and requirements that we have to think out before we start drawing. For this one, I'm going to start on my right hand side. So my right plane, I'm looking. Where is my origin going to be? My origin is actually this blue marker here. But if I start drawing on my right side, I could say that that's my origin. And it's only when I extend it then that the origin pushes back. We'll see that when I get to that point. Okay, I'm going to start off. So I am starting a new part. Okay. Let it load up. And once it's loaded, I am going to my right plane. Right click, sketch. And you can see my plane moves towards me. I am going to rough sketch what I need first. And then I'll come back and put in my dimensions. So my rough sketch is something along this line. So now I'm just using my line and clicking. I'm allowing it to line up. I'm also using my automatic relations. You can see there I have a yellow relation for horizontal. So I'm using them as I'm traveling. Click. And wait, we had something happen here. This mightn't be the fastest way to draw this object. The way we draw objects can change by what parameters we need to put in, or what parameters we put in and when we put them in. If you drew an object and I drew an object, we both might have the very same object, the very same weight, might have taken us the very same time, but we could have drawn them in different ways. Some people might draw from the top, some people might draw from the side. Doesn't mean to say that any object is wrong. It's just different variations of the way we draw. There's my object. I have roughened it out. Time to put some dimensions on my object. If I go back to my sketch, I know that from this point to this point is 100. So there's my biggest measurement. I'm going to put in my biggest measurement first. I know from this point to this point is 40. So I'm going to put in my 100. I'm going to put in my 40. And I'm going to put in my 30. So I've taken a few of them that I'm going to put in together. Click, click, 100. Now my object scales to that because I've used my largest measurement. Next one, 40. And there's my 40. Next one I'm going to go with is 30. And there's my 30. Oh wait there, now this has pushed over this edge. Is this an issue to me? It is not, because the sketch can be moved. So if I catch it here, I can pull it back and forward and just realign my sketch. This is why it's so important to have things like fully define. Because if we don't fully define, that can happen. It can move on us. Well, I know that the inner piece is 11 high. I know that the thickness is 6. And I know that it's also 16 high. So 11, 6, and 16. So my first one is 11. This one here is 6. And then this one overall is 16. Okay, you can see now that our relations are starting to kind of clog up our sketch a bit. They're a bit too much. So I'm going to go back. I think I might have a measurement wrong there. And I'm going to turn off my sketch relations. And you can see now we can see more clearly what is in our sketch. I want to check that 16. And the only reason I want to check that 16 because I feel that it's wrong. Is it? No, it's correct. But the point is that I went back to check. If you don't go back, if you get like a feeling like that, oh, something is wrong here, and you don't go back and check, that can cause error in your drawing. So we have to be precise and we have to be accurate at the same time. If I close down this once again, we can see now we're set up. But I've still got blue lines here. Have I anything else that tells me on that sketch? Okay, I have a 30 here. Yeah, I can put in my 30. I have a 30 and a 40, which I have in, but we can take that. Some of this stuff you have to kind of presume that is correct. So we can take that this distance and this distance is the same. Otherwise, that the two pieces are square or equidistant to each side. How am I going to do that? I can come up here and I can say 30. And that shifts this box over. But it didn't shift this internal one. So I'd have to take the measurement from here to here and here to here, which we know is 10, and divide that by 2, which is 5. But that also creates a problem that if I wanted to create my 40 into a 50, Now it's locked in with 5 on either side. It doesn't flow correctly. So how are we going to work on this to make our model react the way we want to? It has to use more relations. So my relation that I need to put here is that the center of this object, or this line, and the center of this line lines up vertically. Let's go and put in our construction line, our center line. Our center line is disregarded from the software. It's only used for lining things up. So I tend to use center lines for lots of different pieces of information that I want to line or mark out. And that's the purpose of it. If I come to the center here and then touch my line below, travel back and forth, there's the center of my line below, click. Now I have my center line in place. What's my problem? My center line is at an angle. It can move. So I know that my object is wrong. Why? Because it's undefined. It can move. Well, if I truly want this to be in the center of that, I click my center line. Sorry, that's my dimension line. I click my center line, vertical. And now you can see it's locked in place. So once I have it locked in place, wait there, I'm still underdefined. Everything here is black except this line. Why is this line blue if the rest of it is black? The likelihood it's missing a relation. Catch my line, drag it up and down. Yes, it's missing a relation. Can I drag it back and forward? No. So the relation that it's missing has got something to do with the height. This line over here is 6 millimeters. Well, if I took this line, hold down my shift and press this line, I can line up these two lines. So if I was to use a horizontal, that just means that the line is horizontal. But there is something else here called collinear. And collinear would be in the same direction. You can see that even the software suggests it's probably collinear I'm looking for. If I press collinear and now press OK, fully defined. Everything is locked in nicely for me. You can see also on an exercise the amount of dimensions and especially the amount of relations, if they're all under one sketch, becomes very complicated to understand. And these are still simple sketches. A large sketch could have lots of different dimensions in it. Could be 40, 50, 60 dimensions there, and you're trying to sort and work through it. Well, if you turn off your relations, at least you have a little bit clearer of an image. We need to add in some material here. Back to our sketch. Well, our sketch says, or back to our drawing says that it has to have 52 millimeters of material from here to here. Okay, let's go 52 millimeters. Features, extrude. It's already picked up the contour that it wants to extrude. So I'm going with a blind and I'm going 52. So if I push it out 52 millimeters from that, that is my object. I now have what in industry can be called a blank. The object shape, but it mightn't have all its detail. If I click OK, and there we are. One question that I would be asked is why didn't I select my selected contours? If you have one contour in an object, the computer will automatically select it for you. So one contour is one boundary. If you had two contours or two different boundaries of shapes, the computer will ask you or allow you to select which one it wants. So that's why if you only have one contour or one outline, the computer won't ask you. It will just automatically select it for you. Here is our object. And this is our drawing. Let's modify this. So we have MMGS, 2 arbitrary, 1020 steel, and 0.0079. Okay, I'm going to check my MMGS first, which I should have done at the start. Yes, it's MMGS. The reason that I should always check is because the computer I'm sitting at mightn't be set to MMGS. Remember in an exam, learners were sitting at computers and one computer out of 10 was set to the wrong units. You always just need to make sure. This is my own system, so I never change it off of MMGS. It is the standard it's set at. The next thing I want to do is add a material. So my material is 1020. If I go to my material, I can right click, edit material, and look up 1020. There's my 1020, and we had said it was 79. So there's my 79. If I went with the other one, it'd be 787. We were on the 79. And now I have material. It's all little by little. As I was saying, it's the same process over and over and over. And that's what makes us draw objects. And even complicated objects. If you see some part of a large engine, a really complex assembly of components, if you break it down, most of those components are quite simple components. It's only when they're put together in an assembly that they look complex. We are looking at our drawing once again, and I have lots of bits of information here. I have my outline, and now I want to create some cuts, and I think I'll create all this under one sketch. I'm going to use a mirror command because I know everything on this side is the same on that side. Yeah, so we can use our mirror, and then we just use a feature cut to cut everything out. I'm going to use a top plane. So if I come back, click my top plane and click sketch. I'm going to draw a center line using my center line. And I'm going to travel down, and you can see I can pinpoint my marker here that's halfway on my object. Bring that across and leave it. We have a center line. I'm going to take center rectangle, because I know there's a rectangle in the center of this, and I'm going to line up my center rectangle with the center of that line. And there we are. So that's a center rectangle with the center of the line. What else do we need? See the way I'm doing it without really putting in my measurements first. I could put in my measurements if I want. So if I wanted to put in my 42 and my 20, which I probably should now at this stage anyway. So 42 for the first one. And then 20 for the side. And now it turns black, as in it's fully defined. Why haven't I put in a measurement from the edge to the side? It's because it's all lined up in the center. So everything works out perfectly. I'm going to then drop another center line just to make sure that my sketch is conferring the same down the middle. And it is 26 in. We know our actual piece is 52 wide. So 26 and 26 is 52. Otherwise, the line is centered down the middle. Center down the middle, drop it down. I'm going to then put in some circles, because I know on that center line, I have 3 circles. If I click my circle command and travel back to my line, I get this yellow coincident. 1, 2, 3 for our 3 circles. Back to our drawing again. You can see we have those 3 circles. So they are 7mm circles, 5, 15 and 25. So if I want to create these at 7mm, I'm going to click my smart dimension, click my circle and say 7. And there's my 7. If I press my escape to take off my smart dimension, but hold down my left shift, click the circle, click the circle, click the circle, I have 3 circles selected. But what I really want to do next is add a relation. That relation is going to be an equals relation. Make equal. The first circle is 7, so what I'm telling it is the second and third circle also have to be 7. Equals. Click OK. Now we have 3 circles that are all 7mm. Start off again with our smart dimension. Click from the edge of our model to our first circle, and we call that 5 or 7. What was it? The first one is 5, then 15, then 25. So this first one here is 5. Then if I go to the next one, this one is 15. And the last one then is 25. And you can see once again they go black, meaning that they're fully defined, they can't move around. I will have a slot piece to do next. And the slot is traveling from here down, curve, back up. Okay, we can do this with a slot command if we want, or we can just do it with some lines. I'm going to do it with some lines. Take my line, click, travel down vertically, and you can see my relation there is showing me that it's vertical. Click, travel out, travel back to touch the end of the line. Travel out again. You can see now the line has curved itself. So that's only a quick little tip instead of having to go back and click our center point arc. If you draw a straight line, travel back to the end of the line, touch the end of the line, don't click, just touch it, and move forward again, it gives you an arc. And then back up. Once we go back up, go back to the point that we started at. And now we have a contour. You can see that contour is just that shape. Put a few dimensions on this shape. We need a 5mm wall, 20mm in length with another 5mm wall. So 5mm wall here, 20mm in length with another 5mm down here. So our curvature is 5. And now you can see it's fully defined. Back on our sketch, we can see that that is a radius 5. Before I move any further, I'm going to look at my sketch and I'm going to look at my drawing. Why is that important? Because there's often mistakes made on the sketch and it clearly shows it on the drawing. Otherwise, the two don't relate. What I would ask is people, if they're modeling things or if they're sketching, just at the end of the process before you move on to the next process or feature, just have a look. 526, 720. Yep, okay. Drop down. Yeah, I think we're good. Now, this would be the same with the CSWA or any of those exams. The purpose of those exams is to test you within a time limit of what your ability is. Don't have done all the hard work and hard slog and get caught out because you put a 6 instead of a 5. It only takes a bare second to look back over and go, oh wait, or this is wrong or that's wrong. And I'm always saying that to people. Let's do something else now. I have my object drawn and I know there's symmetry in this object. So I'm going to mirror this drawing this side. If I go to my mirror entities, mirror about this center line, see I can click my mirror about first and click my center line. Entities to mirror then will give me my preview. You can see instead of me drawing anything now, it's going to turn over on the next surface. So I've just saved myself the time of going back and the hassle of going back to try and draw this. For instance, if I change my 5 to an 8, you can see that it'll move both sides for me. Let's mirror again. Mirror entities. And now that I have a mirror line here, I can entities to mirror everything on this side. So I can drag select. And you can see now it all travels down to the bottom. What we had laid out initially, because I'm using my mirror command, is nearly instant across. A few clicks gets us the finished object. Once again, if I take my 5 and say 8, you can see that even the tops and the bottoms will all move. So this is the essence of parametric modeling, where your model will change to the parameters and values that you put in. If I go features, extrude cut, see now it selects all my contours for me. I need to go the opposite direction with my cut, and instead of having blind, I'm going to say through all. So once I cut through all everything, you can see there is my object in the exact position of the object I was trying to draw. Now, you could draw that object in a different position, completely different compared to what's here. But I always try and draw it in the position that I'm given. Because later on, when you're putting together assemblies and bigger items, you often need it to be in the same position. Or if you wanted to cross-check things visually, you can look at an image drop that image, look at what your model is, bring back up the image, etc., and jump from one to the other. And it's an easy way to identify any mistakes. So this brings us to the end of this video. This was number 4. On episode number 5, we'll do some more exercises. Thank you for joining me for this video. Please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll talk to you in the next one.